Hi and welcome to another video. Today we'll be discussing phobias, so before we get into the content, please like, subscribe and share this video to anyone that you think will benefit from it. Let's get started. So a phobia is an overwhelming fear of an object, place, situation, feeling or an animal. They're more intense than fears and develop when you have an exaggerated or unrealistic sense of fear about a situation or an object. Now, if a phobia becomes severe, then you may begin to organise your life around avoiding that thing that's causing the anxiety. Therefore, as well as restricting your day-to-day life, it can also cause you a lot of distress. Essentially, a phobia is a type of anxiety disorder, and in some cases, you may not experience any symptoms until you encounter the root cause of the phobia. But other times, even thinking about the source of the phobia can make you feel anxious, more commonly known as anticipatory anxiety. The symptoms of the phobia or anxiety can include dizziness and lightheadedness, nausea, sweating, an increased heart rate, shortness of breath, trembling, and an upset stomach. Now, if you don't encounter the source of your phobia very often, it may not affect your everyday life. But if you have a complex phobia, such as agoraphobia, leading a normal life may be incredibly difficult. Phobias can essentially be divided into two main categories: specific or simple phobias and complex phobias. Specific or simple phobias centre around a certain object, animal, situation or activity, and these usually develop during childhood or adolescence and can become less severe the older that you get. Common examples of simple phobias include arachnophobia, obviously fear of spiders, dentophobia, fear of dentists, and acrophobia, fear of heights. Now, complex phobias are usually more limiting than simple phobias. And these commonly develop during adulthood and are often associated with a deep-rooted fear or anxiety about a particular situation or circumstance. The two most common complex phobias are agoraphobia and social phobia. Agoraphobia, commonly thought of as a fear of open spaces, but it's way much more complex than that. A person with agoraphobia will feel anxious about being in a place or situation where escaping may be difficult if they have a panic attack. Now, this anxiety is extremely limiting and usually leads the person to avoid situations where they're alone, in crowded places, or travelling on public transport. Social phobia, which can also be called social anxiety disorder, centres around feeling anxious in social situations, and this can lead to you being afraid of speaking in front of people for fear of embarrassing yourself and being humiliated in public. In severe cases, this can prevent you from carrying out everyday activities such as eating out or meeting friends. So, what causes fears and phobias? Well, fears and anxieties and phobias are generally learnt behaviours, and as a result they become an automatic process. You're born with two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises, and all your other fears are learnt. And there are two ways of learning: repetition and one-time learning. Repetition is when you do something repeatedly until it becomes an automatic response, similar to the way you would learn to write, walk, drive a car, or learn a musical instrument. By learning this way, it's almost as if you create a part of you that handles that task. Now, one-time learning is how most fears and anxieties are learnt. You experience an event with a high level of emotion, such as a traumatic event, and in that moment, the brain then takes a snapshot of that thing or situation and registers it as a threat. Forevermore, your brain scans the environment for signs of that thing, or even an indication that it could be encountered. Now, learning this way means you can develop a fear of anything. It's almost like your brain was fooled into thinking something was dangerous when actually it wasn't. And this puts your body on alert when you initially freeze and then the fight or flight decision kicks in. Now, in this moment, your mouth can become dry, your stomach shrinks, and your hands can sweat. And all of these are all classic symptoms of anxiety. Now, this response does have its place, and it's there to protect you. The problem is when it becomes an automatic response. It's triggered even when there is no real threat to yourself. It's almost as if you've created a part of you, like the repetition way of learning, that runs a protective mechanism to keep you safe, well, and protected, even when there is no real threat. So how can hypnotherapy help? Well, hypnotherapy is a wonderful tool to help you confront your fears in a controlled and detached environment. It limits the amount of exposure to your situation so that you're not overwhelmed with panic. It also allows you to safely deal with your fears and the removal of your panic response at an unconscious level, leaving you completely free of your fear or phobia. Do you need my help in overcoming a fear or a phobia? If so, click the link below and book a free confidential call where we can discuss your matters further. Thanks.